Affinity Photo can quickly create all kinds of Christmas designs, Christmas wrapping paper designs. This definitely could be used for Christmas wrapping very quickly. How to create something like this very quickly in Affinity Photo, PC or Mac. So let's just remove the layers here. First thing to do, create a layer. So go to Layer and then New Layer and then Edit and then Fill. Just fill it with black. Now that's my secondary colour there, but of course just set the colour via the colour option. Once you've got that, you can now fill it with some noise, some grain. You can manipulate the grain in all kinds of ways as well. If you want to add some colour, maybe go with red or green noise, but I'm going for a mix of colour. So filters, and then go down to noise and add noise. Set this to 100%. Unfortunately, that's the limit. Gaussian and monochromatic turned off. Click apply. The great thing about Affinity is you can apply it multiple times. So filters, repeat, add noise. Obviously use the shortcut if you want. And you got that noise there. Now I've done this in the previous video, but now I'm going to go with a different effect, a different blur. In this case, I'm going to go with the motion blur. So filters and distort and pixelate before I do anything further. And you can vary this. So you can go for, say, very, very small. Now, unfortunately, you can't vary the size vertically or horizontally. It can only be done as squares. It'd be nice if they extended it. Also, it'd be nice, if, of course, if it generated circular designs as well. But it doesn't. Only got squares. So 42 and click apply. Now, this can be blurred. Now, you could use maximum blur, which I've used in the previous video. But in this case, filters and go down to blur and down to motion blur. In motion blur, you can see the result of that. Now, you could make the pixelization thicker, make it obviously larger, therefore you'll get obviously larger sort of lines there of gradient colours, because that's basically what it is. It's a lot of collections of gradient colours that have been dragged. Now, they're set to 270. You can, of course, vary it. You can put it to 290 or just move it around. So if you move it around slightly, you can see you'll get different results. Now, I prefer the 270, so I'm just going to put 270 there, straight down. And you can set the radius. I'm going with 200, but you can set it to 100. Maybe you might think that looks better. Perfectly reasonable as well. So 100, click apply. So once you've got that, you can now modify this in other ways. You could apply different effects, go to filters, maybe apply it again, repeat motion blur. So you could get something like that. But another option, you can turn it into a pattern. So if you just go over here, you've got this selected. As long as you've got it selected, you can go to Layer and you can go down to New Pattern Layer from Selection and you can resize it. Now, at this point, you'll notice you've got this obviously split there. Not ideal, but you can get around that by going up here. As long as you've got the Move tool selected there, the actual selection and mirror. And you can mirror that. And you can resize it. And you can see, of course, the noise pattern there. Let's just push it back to about there. But also you can rotate it. You can rotate it at any angle. I mean, you could go for 45 degrees and 135, etc. So just rotate it and hold down the shift key so you can constrain it. So I'm going to go with that. But also what you can do is you can duplicate the layer and then combine it. And you can combine it in millions of ways, but I'm just going to go with lighten. So let's go for layer and duplicate, or you could just duplicate over here. And then you can rotate this, and you could, of course, go at any angle, but I'm going 45 the other way now. And then go here, normal, go for lighten, and you get this sort of wonderful effect. But you can vary it multiple ways. You can maybe duplicate this layer again, maybe go at 90 degrees and combine it that way. So literally infinite amount of designs can be created using this approach. You can also go for, instead of that, you can go for screen, say, or maybe go for add or overlay and so on. Just try out the one you think that's best. Negation maybe, but I'm going to go with light and that's the one I want. Now what also you can do is you can blend them together. Merge them, I should say. So go to layer and down to merge visible. That merges it into a pixel layer. You can select both, but the result often isn't what you expect. It doesn't look as is on the screen. So I prefer to go with merge visible, just merges it into a pixel layer and you got this result. Then you can go to filters and then you go down to colors and auto levels. Sometimes I think the result may be slightly nicer. You might change your mind and think, you know what, maybe not. Or, of course, with this layer selected, you can always go to Layer and New Adjustment Layer, and you could try out some of these other ones, maybe levels, curves, maybe change the colours. Gradient maps, great one of adding some different colours into. Black and white, even, go for that. And once you've got this design can then be stored away, maybe to your assets. Just save it to your assets. So Window and Assets, you can put it in there. Or use it as Christmas wrapping paper. I think will be a lovely Christmas wrapping paper. You might want to maybe make it sort of redder using one of the adjustment layers, or maybe make a green design to make it again more Christmassy. And then File, and then you can of course go to Export and export it to a PNG file, print it off, or maybe go and print it directly off. Obviously, depending on the size of the document. I don't know what the size of the document is. It's about 2,000 or so. But you've got this design. And you can also, of course, go back and create different designs. Don't have to go with this one. Maybe let's just go back to this. I'm just going to fill it again with grain. Simply go to Filters and Distort, and just down there, noise go to Add Noise, and now that adds noise to that effect. So that's got some added variation in there. And click Apply and repeat again. Unfortunately, like I say, it doesn't allow you to go beyond 100. I don't know why. It would be nice if they did. But again, you can now go to Filters and exactly the same as before, go down to Distort and Pixelate and just change that. Now, of course, you're not going to get anything different than the squares again. But this time, maybe go full slightly bigger so you can see you can get different designs from this. So I've got obviously bigger. Again, it's still exactly the same square, and click Apply. Filters and Blur and Gaussian Blur, maybe Motion Blur. All these things are all available, so just try them out. I'm going to go with Motion Blur in this case, but Motion Blur, and see again, you've got this gradient effect. Click Apply, and then you can duplicate that. Now another option, maybe create 2 layers of that noise and apply obviously different maybe motion blurs to them to create different designs that way. Maybe recolor them and then combine them. So let's go to Layer and Duplicate again. And this time I can, instead of rotating 90, let's just go that way. And of course you can resize this. You can just drag this out a bit, push it like that. Once you've done that, you can then go to Normal and go to Lighten again. And you've got that effect. Again, you could use that maybe as Christmas wrapping paper as well. Or you might like to decide to turn this into a pattern before you do anything else. So Layer and go down here to gain New Pattern Layer from Selection and resize this. Again, go over here to the mirror and you've got this design. Maybe add some variation into it. You can always go to Filters and Distort and Deform, or maybe Mirror. So Deform, maybe add some pins in here and just tweak it just slightly. Now, if you push it too far that way, you can see what happens. So you might want to, but you can certainly make some variation just by moving there, just carefully making certain you don't end up with any seams there, which is always quite possible by accident. You're not checking all the way around. And I'm going to go, I think with that. Let's just drag that out again. Sometimes it doesn't let you select it. So I'm just trying to select it. Yes, now it's going to let me select it. So click Apply. So I've got that design. Again, I can resize this. I can also go to Layer and again Duplicate. And then once you've done that, you can then rotate that one. And I'm just going to rotate the other one without actually seeing what it is. So like there, go back up here to Pattern and then go down here to Lighten. And you can see now you've got this sort of effect. I mean, perhaps not so much as Christmas wrapping paper this time, but certainly a very interesting, abstract, sort of warped and rippled design, colourful design like that. But that's just using random noise, turning it into lines of gradient colour using the motion blur filter effect. Are you going to be using this effect? Do you find this of a useful design, maybe for Christmas wrapping paper, maybe for many other things as well, of course? Now, of course, you can also add additional effects to this. So you might want to like add maybe brushstrokes, maybe with star designs or something, obviously to make it far more Christmas-like in certain patches maybe. Or maybe go over here and go to the star tool and add stars, obviously solid shapes like that. That's always a possibility as well. Well, I hope you found this of interest. Any questions, please let me know. Also, please subscribe to the channel. Always adding new videos about Affinity Photo, but also about Photoshop and many other applications as well. Also, a like or dislike, always appreciated. Bye.